online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello!
King
Welcome! Yeah! Guys, welcome to the King of the Nerds AfterBuzz After Show. I'm your host, Yael Tygiel. With me, as always, Curtis Armstrong.
Hello, Yael.
We are talking about Invasion of the Nerd Snatchers.
Yes.
We are almost at the season finale, which is so sad.
It's really sad, and it really bothers me, frankly. I mean, it's one of those things where now suddenly it's Monday, and I'm thinking, you know, by 10 o'clock on Friday, I'm going to have nothing to do with my life. You know, it's just suddenly, I mean, because, you know, once we get geared up to start this show, it's all this show.
Yeah.
You know, starting in about December, this is the primary thing on my mind, whatever else I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And now here we are. And then it's just waiting to find out if we come back or not.
Well, decision, we're coming back. I'm making that call.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I'm so thrilled.
You're
we should have a
welcome.
party.
Yeah, that's what I do. I make these decisions. Yeah, I'm really sad because we lost 2 today.
I know this was a bad week.
Yeah.
Losing 2 at once is hard.
Yeah, and
you know, especially those 2. I mean, you know, losing Amanda and Raychelle at the same time is...
Yeah.
People had trouble with that, I think.
Yeah, understandably so. It felt like we watched 2 like we got a double episode.
It felt like that. It's really funny. I mean, the double elimination, even though you're doing... I mean, also because you're out of the team game, so when you're into just 2 separate challenges, so it doesn't feel like the previous ones. Plus 2 people get sent home. Yeah, which is,
and they're 2 wonderful people. Not that we haven't had all wonderful people.
No, they're all wonderful people, and we hate seeing all of them go.
Yeah.
But I think we were talking earlier about the fact that when they, you know, when they realized, when Bobby and I were talking about the invasion of the nerdy snatchers, that, you know, it was a big shock to them. The truth is, this episode in the number is the one where that always happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it's been for 3. You know, this was the 3rd season, so it's been like that before, and they're always ahead of us. The nerds are always ahead of us. So I think they knew that this was coming on some level. Yeah. But nevertheless, being told that it was a big shock to them.
Yeah.
And we hate it. I mean, you know, it's not like we get any pleasure out of it.
I don't believe that.
Well, it's true. We don't. I mean, you know, if there was a way of keeping all of them, you know, they'd never go home, as far as I'm concerned.
I would watch that show.
I know.
Just stick a bunch of nerds in a house and keep them there.
Keep them there permanently.
Yeah, we'll call that pocket nerds.
I know, but they're in your pocket.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, there are issues like, you know, Amanda has children. She needed to get back to her children. So, you know.
That's not an excuse.
People have lives and lovers and all that stuff and spice. So
well, I refuse to accept that.
All right, okay.
We will soon be talking to Raychelle, who also was eliminated. And I'm so sad.
I know.
I really, first off, so we've discussed this. None of my predictions have been correct. No, I predicted 2 things that did come true. One was that someone would throw something, that Todd would throw something, and Xander pointed out that he threw a fit. So sure, I'll take it.
And not a glitter fit either. That was a different sort of fit.
Yeah. And the other prediction I had was that the beating of the zombie heads would be kind of like a piñata that you have to get something out of it. And that there would be stuff in it. I also got that one correct. So that's 2 predictions I got correct. All the rest of mine which have been very bold predictions, were all very wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You were wrong.
I am terrible at this game.
Well, you know what? You're actually very good at it, but we work hard to try to keep it, elusive.
Yeah.
So I guess we've succeeded in some ways.
Congratulations.
I'd hate to think of the day where everybody is going to be able to predict who the next one is going home.
Well, I never knew. I just made stuff up. I just guessed.
Oh, well, then that explains it.
Yeah. This show has always eluded me. So, all right, before we talk to Raychelle, let's start talking about Melt My Face Off for a bit.
Yes.
Because I want to know, did you make too much goo this season?
And we had to burn it off? No, it's just that we thought that, the more, the better. I mean, if you have an alien who is spewing, there's Raychelle. Hi, Raychelle. So I'm just explaining about why we sprayed so much goo on you. It was a visual thing that, we had to keep dumping the goo to get the really effective shot of having their faces.
I feel like there were a lot of dirty jokes that could have been made.
There were, actually. There was at least one. Lily made one, which someone misses. Everyone misses her joke, and I don't understand why. Her joke to Ben. It's Ben, I think.
What was the joke?
Well, he was saying something about when he finally gets... he says something about being afraid of getting the stuff shot in his face, and Lily said, well, it wouldn't be the first time. And I thought it was great, and we were all sort of going, well, I wonder if we can actually use that or not. And not only did we use it, no one gets it for some reason. It just passes us.
I mean, you straight up said something about getting 2 blasts in the face is how you get eliminated.
Yes.
There were just so many good ones. I wrote them all down. I was so excited. It was,
okay.
I was... Sorry, I was like, where are the dirty jokes, guys?
Well, there are limits. But
I disagree.
Okay.
All right, Raychelle, hello.
Raychelle's here.
Hello, hi Curtis.
Hi, hun. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very, very good. Very glad to see you.
I'm glad, I can't see you, but I'm glad to hear your voice.
I know. Well, you look lovely. And you know what? You want to start with Raychelle. I have one thing I want to say about Raychelle.
Go for it.
Before you bring up anything.
Okay.
Because I just want to get it out. Because I've told her this. I'm sure she probably knows what I'm going to say. But, every season you have people who bring special things to the show. And everybody brings something to the show. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're there, because we have a sense that they are, special people for some reason or another. And what Raychelle did in episode 3 was so gorgeous and so dramatic when Todd got upset and started yelling at Lily. Mm-hmm. There was, at that moment, and we were watching as it happened, and we went... No, it can't be, because it was episode 3, the previous season, that Zach went off on Mary Kate.
Right.
And we thought it's a complete repeat, and now we're going to have to deal with all of the, fallout. And the reason that we didn't have to deal with the fallout is because of Raychelle. And what she did was, by going to Todd and not yelling at him and not being abusive, but being firm and saying, you can't play like that. You have to be nice. And changing Todd's goof completely. Mm-hmm. She did something hugely important for Todd, and she did something hugely important for us. And this is the end that I'll say about it. But when we were in post-production, and I went in with the other producers, and we're all jammed into this little tiny editing bay, watching that episode, or the first cut of that episode. And after the episode, I turned to the rest of them and said, you guys should be sending her the biggest effing bouquet of flowers in the world, because she saved our asses. And I don't think they ever sent you the flowers, but
No.
but we were thinking about
Cry
it.
every time you say it, so that's good enough, I guess.
So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Now you talk.
Yeah, no, Raychelle, I'm so excited to be talking to you, but so bummed to be talking to you.
Trust me, I know. I feel you.
Yeah, I was rooting for you. I tried to be unbiased through the show.
Good luck.
Yeah. Before we get into anything, I want to know if you slipped Penn Jillette your number.
You know, I should have. I thought Penn Jillette was going to come back to our bunk. That's what I was under the impression of, but he did not show back up to the pod, so I was rather disappointed.
Damn.
I mean, I appreciated that you offered, because I was saying last week I would have, yeah, agreed. Penn Jillette.
I was like, please just join us.
Yeah. Come to our pod. All right, let's talk about Melt My Face Off, because you dominated that game. And also, it was the first time really that you snuck up on everybody.
It's true, and I think that's why Ben didn't let me get away with it. One of the biggest things is a lot of people said I didn't take like a leadership role, and that was one of the things I didn't want to do. I didn't necessarily want to just play it safe and just hide the whole time. I wanted to contribute to my team, but I didn't want to have a lot of attention drawn to me, so that way people wouldn't throw me in. And the individual challenge was scary, because that's the first time I was like, well, I want to win, so obviously I want to win the challenge, so I have to try as hard as I can. I don't want to like hide it or not look like I'm good at stuff. And I mean, I came on the show to do two things. I wanted to last past the first episode, and I did.
Congratulations.
And I wanted to prove myself. And the first individual challenge, I got second. So you know what? I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, you were amazing. I want to know, have you watched any Game of Thrones now?
I've actually seen all of Game of Thrones, and I've started reading the books. So yes,
Good.
I am officially caught up on Game of Thrones, and I can name houses.
Great. So you're ready for the next one.
Yeah.
That's good.
But we'll probably not have that question again, so you know.
But now you can go to trivia night and you'll do fine.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes, very important.
So I want to talk about, up until this point, how you've been a really great team member. You've always been there. You've always been a great supportive role. But why do you think it is that you didn't take a leadership role? Did you feel like there were others that kind of took the role and you were like, all right, great, I don't need to? Or do you feel like they kind of wouldn't allow you to?
Well, part of me was a strategy thing. Like I said, like I definitely wanted to contribute, and I did. I pulled my weight quite a bit. Like, I know it doesn't always show on TV, but like in the CSI challenge, and I mean, a lot of the challenges, the dance and the singing challenge, like I really pulled my weight. So, I mean, there were things that weren't my forte, but there were things that were. But with the leadership thing, yeah, part of it was strategy. I didn't really want to take the leadership role because I didn't want fingers pointed at me. And part of it was Caitlin was a good leader. I mean, she really was. So it was nice to have Caitlin, and I got along with Caitlin. And as much as Lily and I are great friends now, and we love each other now, being in a competitive environment together, it was impossible to take anything over Lily, because it was just like, she was like, I'm good at it, and I'm the best, and I'm confident. And I was like, okay, then you're getting fingers pointed at you, and I'm going to let you take the downfall then, and I will just contribute as much as I can. So
I think that was a very smart and very clever way to do it. I love it. Oh, I'm so sad.
I was too. What is so sad about it is my strategy going in was so good for the game. Like, it was so good. And then I just started eating my hair and letting myself get into my head and just completely forgot what the goal was. So,
well, let's talk about Pocket Nerds. So you never played Stratego.
I had never played Stratego. But I was doing very well against Jonathan, and actually Caitlin came in one time as well. What it doesn't show is Caitlin helped Lily and I both, but she helped Lily first. So then she came and she let me play against her, and she was like, I beat Lily. And I was like, okay. And so I played against her, and I actually beat Caitlin. And I was like, oh, okay, so this strategy is really good, which is what I took into the Nerd Off. And then for some reason, I forgot to just go for the flag, because I could have just went for the flag the entire time, because I knew exactly where her Astro Nerd was. So for some reason, I chased her Astro Nerd. Like, I just started panicking. I don't know. I forgot it was capture the flag. I thought it was capture the Astro Nerd, I guess.
I mean, I think that happens when you're under pressure and when you're...
Not only that, but I mean, you know, no one ever realizes, looking at the final cut, how long These are. I mean, they go on, and both of these, the Melt Your Face Off and the Stratego one, Pocket Nerds, both of those went on twice the length, 3 times the length of, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on, and the sun was setting on the Pocket Nerds. I mean, we were running out of time, of daylight, because these take a long time, and you're hot, and you're under pressure, and you know that you're down to it, and I mean, it's enormously stressful doing these kinds of things, even though physically it doesn't require a lot. But they were really killing it.
Well, yeah, at least you were sitting.
Lily and I's Nerd Off took like 2 or 3 hours or something. I mean, it was extreme, and nobody thought, like, it was the longest game of Stratego in history.
Yeah.
I feel like we should petition the Guinness Book of World Records, because it was a very long game, and I felt very good because Lily had been playing it her whole life. So the fact that like I still lasted that long on a game with her and still almost came back after messing up, like, I felt really good. Like, I felt really good about it. It was a good loss.
Yeah, it was very, that's a great way to look at it. It was a very solid loss.
Yeah, it was. And it was all my fault, so it's not like I could be mad at anyone. Like, I was like, well, I got into my own head and I messed it up. But, one thing that was really cute is that I tease my boyfriend because he eats his hair. That's not something I do. And so when I came home, I was like, look, babe, I got something for you.
How, was it tasty?
I don't actually even remember it being in my mouth. I didn't know I did it until I got off the platform. And Jonathan was like, did you know the whole entire hair, like all of it was all in your mouth? I was like, nope. But good to know. I guess I'll see it.
So when you're playing there, you can't hear the other 3, sitting and gabbing in the corner, correct?
Right, I can see them. Like, I was facing them, so I could see them saying things, and I knew not to say that I messed up out loud, but I had actually, like, I don't know, all of it's filming and, you see what it's cut down to, but I had actually started to say something and then didn't finish it before I asked if I could change it, because I thought maybe I still had time to save it. So it was my bad, not understanding, like, what I could do and what I couldn't do. And so I wasn't necessarily trying to give it away, but, it happened. But yeah, I couldn't hear him.
And I seem to remember, if I'm not wrong, that when you asked, we had to actually stop.
Yeah.
And consult the rules. We figured
we had to do that a couple times.
Yeah.
Actually, it was the thing that was most stressful about that is in a game of Stratego, you have those darked out blocks where you can't, like, nobody can move on those blocks, and you really work around those. And when you're playing that life-size board, I couldn't actually see where the blocks were. So a lot of it was me, like, trying to, like, see over my pieces to make sure I was moving them in the right spot. So it was really, there was a lot of elements into that. It wasn't just a game of Stratego. Like, it was very complicated.
It looked very complicated. And you definitely see it in the show with you trying to look over. And I thought you were just trying to see what the letters were, because you're so tiny.
I know, I was definitely short. Was not a fun, just like Heather was too short for her barrel and had to climb in it, I was too short for my game pieces.
Exactly.
Like, definitely not a fun time. And I wore a sweater in California in heat. So.
And that's in Eagle Rock heat, which is like out here. It's like where we are. It was miserably hot.
Right.
It was so hot. My face was just drenched in sweat. It was awful.
I feel like the whole season, every episode where we're outside, everybody's sweating.
Yeah, everybody is. It's terrible. We shoot it in July.
Why?
That's when we can do it. But
well, and half the time I'm crying. Like, you can see me in the video and I'm always like this. And it's because the sun was in my eyes and my eyes were just watering. So yes, I'm crying sometimes, but sometimes, like, the sun is just glaring into my eyes so bad that I'm, like, over there wiping it. Even, like, the first time you meet us on the mats, I'm over there going.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Are there any final thoughts?
Oh no, I just I think I get sentimental about these.
Oh, Papa Nerd.
So anyway, she was wonderful, of course, and did a great job.
Yeah.
Beginning to end.
Will you let people know where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff?
Yes. So I'm Llama Lamb on Instagram and Twitter and even Steam, like everything. I am Llama Lamb, which is just LLAMALAMB. And Facebook would be Raychelle Peekaboo, like Pikachu, but Peekaboo.
Awesome.
So that's where everybody can find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see more of you next week because you're still there. I'm so happy. And hopefully next time you're in California, we will see you.
I'll be there for San Diego Comic-Con, so.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Yep. Great. Okay. Well, take care, hon.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we before we discuss with Amanda her whole situation.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about Melt Your Face Off.
Yeah.
How many categories did you guys have?
I don't know the exact number. We had a lot of categories because we had no idea how knowledgeable they all were.
Yeah.
I mean, we all figure, thinking of just like take Caitlin, for example. I mean, Caitlin, I had a feeling, the science ones she would be able to kill without problems.
Yeah.
But then I thought, something like first generation, what do you call it? Pokemon,
Yeah.
right? First generation Pokemon. I thought that would just be, there's no way she would know any of those. She just didn't strike me as being someone with that type of knowledge. And she just killed. I mean, this is the thing that gets me about all of them. Everybody who was in that challenge was brilliant. And again, emphasizing the fact that people did not know how long those challenges went on.
Right.
For example, there's a moment where Bobby is saying, I'm sorry, Jonathan, but Katie has already been mentioned once, which was when we went into this thing of saying, all right, the subject was previous competitors on King of the Nerds.
Right.
And that went on. I mean, all you see is that one little clip.
Right.
But it had gone on and on and on to the point that Katie was named twice. So they were amazing. I mean, it seemed like everybody had extensive knowledge in every area.
Were there any categories that you were like, oh, everyone's going to get this or no one's going to get this, and then the opposite happened?
No, I didn't feel like no, because I thought there were, in their frame of reference, there was a wide enough range of things that there would be some that people just wouldn't get.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Potter spells.
Right.
How many can you remember, really? I mean, unless you're, and I don't know how knowledgeable they all are about the Harry Potter books. I figure that some of them are and some of them aren't. But they just kept going.
Did you guys have judges on hand with you? Because like Harry Potter spells, for example.
Well, this is the Genevieve department. This is the challenge department, right? And so they had given us all of these multiple big thick stacks of cards for each one.
Yeah.
So we would just keep going until we ran out. We never ran out.
Right.
But they did so many extra to keep us covered that we didn't have to worry about that.
Were there any categories that you wish you would have gotten to that you had seen before?
No,
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay. I mean, that was, I personally think...
heart, I said this when I was tweeting, my heart was racing during this challenge.
Yeah.
Racing. Much more, partially because as opposed to the Pocket Nerds, that's a careful, slow game. And this was lightning.
Yeah.
And the stress of going from one person to the next person to the next person. I mean, I can't imagine what they were feeling, but I was going out of my mind.
Well, let's talk about those pods that they're in.
Well, you should ask them about that. They were actually in them.
What do you know what they were made of? Or
they were made of alien eggs.
Right. Were they sitting in them or standing in them?
They were standing in them, and the unfortunate thing is that we, of course, at this stage in the game, we have no idea who's going to be there.
Right.
So someone like Raychelle, who's short, they're all identical. So she had to stretch up and get her, it was incredibly uncomfortable for somebody her height.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody like Ben is extremely comfortable.
I didn't realize how tall he was until this episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever see them all just lined up by height.
No, and you can't tell in
Right.
this, but the truth is it's, there are tall ones and short ones, and and the ones who were short were really uncomfortable on top of everything else.
Yeah. On top of getting shot in the face.
Right.
I'm sad about this goo stuff because
Why are you sad
I'm
about
sad
it?
about it. Well, first I'm sad that I feel like there were dirty jokes that were missed, and that makes me sad. But also because in previous episodes we had Heather on describing that it's a glue-based thing and that it was gross and that it was terrible, and then we discussed the smell of it, and Xander had some thoughts on what it smelled like.
Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, I'm not
I can only
repeating it.
imagine.
Yeah, and so to see it not only make a comeback, but then shoot people
So
in
to
the
speak.
face. Yeah.
So, yes.
It made me sad. I was like, no, like
More
I
of
feel,
this?
I feel bad for them now that I know what it's made of.
Oh, yeah.
That it's
okay.
gluey and gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be alien queen acid. So they're better off really than they could have been.
That's true.
I mean, looking at it on the bright side.
Yeah. Okay. While we wait for Amanda to join us, I want to take a moment to talk about iTunes. That's right, guys. We're available on iTunes. If you haven't already subscribed, the season's almost over and you're a disappointment. So subscribe. If you also don't know this, we're on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing all the colorful hand gestures that we make.
And we do make very colorful hand gestures.
Yep.
I'm making one right now.
Yeah, you better go on YouTube and check it out. So hit subscribe there as well. And on iTunes, leave a comment, rate and review us. If you like us, we expect 5 stars. And if you don't like us, you can give us 4 stars. And if
But
you,
nothing below that.
yeah, there are no other options. Though it's 5 or 4. And leave a comment. And usually I read those comments out. And next week I will. Make you come back next week.
Well, I'm going to be back next
You
week.
better be back
Yeah,
next week.
absolutely. I mean, that's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Is Amanda on the line? Do we have her? Oh, we will in a second. Exciting.
This is the big moment.
This is the big moment. Amanda.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Amanda. We're still looking for you. We hear you, but we don't see you yet.
Oh, let me
And-
turn off.
And we
turn on the
see
camera.
our booth.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Amanda.
Do you want
How
to
are you?
Do I want to what?
take it away?
Oh, I want to start.
I know.
Because this is always my favorite part because I get to talk to my friends, and I think Amanda knows that I have a particular soft spot for book nerds.
Yes, I saw your tweet and it warmed my heart.
Well,
I seriously think about it all the time. It meant a lot to me.
It is really true, and Amanda is an old school book nerd, and she did such an awesome job on this show, just in general. I mean, it was magnificent the way she played this game, and the way she worked with people on this game was really fantastic. And
Thank you.
And so, in addition to my appreciation for what really inspires her, I also just think she was tremendous on this show. And
Curtis, that means so much to me.
well, it's true, and we missed you terribly, even though you didn't leave. We
I
still
know,
missed
but
you
that was-
terribly.
honestly, if I had to go out, it was a pretty good time to go out because I just came right back.
I know you were the perfect person for that. So
Right.
I feel like also you left, and I in my thought I was like, oh good, now she can go and be with Heather. Like I didn't like separating them.
I know, yes, I know.
so
We don't like them separated.
No,
Absolutely.
And so then when you left, and I was like, that's okay because she'll be with Heather now.
Boy, you do become invested in this,
I
don't
told you. I'm very invested in this show and everyone's well-being.
That makes me happy because then I feel a little bit less bad for being so very personally invested in it as someone who played. So that the viewers are also getting invested makes me, feel good about that.
Well, I think the reason we can get invested is because we see that you all are taking it so seriously, as you should. I mean, with the Horcruxes and with you named the boats after fallen team members.
Yeah.
And it really feels like a family, and even though I am an outskirt of this family, I feel like I am part of the family as well. And I think that anyone watching feels the same way.
That's good, because I mean, of course, for nerds, many of us, I think probably all of us at one time in our lives or another, have been made fun of. That spirit of inclusion is very important to me and to the rest of my cast too. So that really makes me happy that you feel that way.
Well, thank you for being part of making me feel that way. I want to talk. We were discussing. I want to ask what does the goo smell like to you?
Oh, that's a great question. I expected it to smell like laundry detergent because I heard that was what you were able to use to make it colorful without staining our clothes.
Oh.
But it doesn't smell like laundry detergent at all. It kind of smells like almost salty, but not quite. That's such a great question.
It's a sense memory question.
No, I know. Every single book I've read that has ever used an adjective ever is failing me right now because I can't think of the best word to describe what that smells like. I would say salty, but not ocean salty, more like Play-Doh salty. Almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it got in people's mouths, right? A little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did it taste the way it smelled?
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't the sort of taste that made you want to throw up, but it wasn't something you wanted to eat either.
Okay. Because watching everybody, I was like, how is no one vomiting? So I feel better now. All right.
Yeah.
That's enough about the goo. I just had to ask. I had to know. I'm a curious person. Let's talk about the categories that we had during Melt Your Face Off. Do you feel like there were some categories, I mean, aside from, unfortunately, the periodic table, ones that you were looking at other than that one that you were like, you know what, I really should know this?
I mean, definitely Pokemon. That was my era. And I know the things that you would know as a person who doesn't engage in Pokemon or wasn't able to. Because like I said in the episode, in my confessional, I really wasn't allowed to play Pokemon because my mom thought it was like it was demonic or something. Anyway, I'm not going to throw my parents under the bus, but it was a little, whatever. My parents were very strict about no Pokemon. So I don't know. Maybe I'll blame them for losing $100,000. Does it work that way?
Yeah, do it.
How it works?
Do it.
But most of the others I felt pretty confident in. I was starting to run out on the playable characters in the was it Mario Party or Mario Kart? I was starting to run out of choices on that, so I was grateful that Caitlin happened to mess up before I did. But other than that, I was pretty confident in the categories. I could have kept Shakespeare. I mean, I'm a bookworm. I could have kept Shakespeare going forever. I think I had like 5 more up my sleeve. So,
well, the great thing about the Shakespeare would have been, you could get into like Henry VI, and that's good for 3 turns right there. You could say Henry VI 1, Henry VI 2.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask you if I feel like this was really hard to watch because you did go from your crowning moment to and that's so hard to watch, especially when you're invested. So were there other challenges before this or other nerd offs that you were like, oh, I could have kicked ass in that one?
Oh, the word puzzle that ended up sending Heather home, episode 5. I mean, I feel awkward bragging about myself, but when I looked at the puzzle, just from the sentence that was already there and the number of spaces, I had it solved without even looking at the letters. So if I had good luck in searching in the right places for the letters, I'm pretty sure that I could have won that one. The history one that ended up taking Ori out, I'm not really sure about that because some of those dates were so close together that I easily could have been in the same situation Ori was in, where more than one is misplaced, and so if you just keep misplacing it, you're never going to get it. So and he was up against a history teacher.
Right.
So, I mean, that one I probably couldn't have won. But I mean, that's part of the reason I voted myself in episode 6 was because I saw Heather go episode 5 on something I was very confident in and felt terrible. And I said, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. So in this episode, when you got voted in, after, I mean, I don't know how it really was because we only see what we see on TV, but it looked like everyone was going to vote you in, and then last minute everyone changed their mind, and then you went in.
For the episode in which I was eliminated?
Yes.
Oh, I ended up. I wasn't voted in at all.
Sorry.
It was because I was the bottom 2.
Right. I just got totally mixed up, and I
That's
apologize.
Okay. So I think I can go down in history as the first nerd. I can't say I'm the first nerd eliminated without going into a nerd off because I did go into one, but I won. So I'm trying to think of the best way I can word it. I guess the first nerd to be sent home without, I don't know. In some way, I was the first nerd not going home after not being voted into a nerd. Well,
I think it was the first nerd who won and then went home, right?
Yeah, we can word it like that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Either way, I want a badge.
Yes, she wants a badge.
Oh, okay.
Curtis, that's
we'll
you.
work on that.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen. I just had a total brain fart, and I apologize.
That's okay.
All right, so you have seen, and you were part of the Secret Six, and you've seen Jonathan and his strategery, as I'm gonna call it.
His strategery.
His strategery. Did you think when you were still there that he was playing for himself? Because I feel like that came out a lot more this episode later on. But when you were still part of the team, did you feel like he was playing for himself?
Yes and no. I knew that was probably happening. I mean, I knew that he was campaigning with House Hula Boo just as I and Heather were to stay out of... Because, I mean, episode 6, I kind of took the reins on that situation and he didn't have to weasel his way out of anything because I offered to go in. Mm-hmm. Episode 5 to me is really where Jonathan played his strategic cards. And I knew that he was probably downplaying his strengths and upplaying his weaknesses to the other team to try to not go against Colby, which all of us were.
Right.
But I did not know that he was as honest with Caitlin as he was. I knew that he and Caitlin had bonded because episode 2, my team votes unanimously to send in Caitlin. Episode 3, I was very annoyed with Jonathan because he refused to vote for Caitlin and instead made me, Colby, and Ori do it. And I was kind of annoyed by that because Caitlin ended up going in no matter what because it was 3-2 on our team. Heather also voted for Todd and did not vote for Caitlin. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know to the extent that Jonathan was playing Caitlin. Or I shouldn't say that. I didn't know to what extent Jonathan had Caitlin up his sleeve. And until I saw the episodes. Mm-hmm. And Heather describes him as a weasel, and I think that's pretty accurate. So I'll go ahead and stick with that explanation. It doesn't anger me or upset me at all. I'm glad that he was fighting so hard. But it was surprising to me, and especially as someone who was kind of who was not afraid of strategy, I am a little, maybe not disappointed, but surprised that I missed that, and I should have probably kept a bigger eye out for that, a more keen eye out for that, I should say.
Well, I feel like it's hard. You're in this house and you're making not just alliances but friends, and you're, you want to trust the people that you...
Exactly. And the funny thing is that Heather went into this competition saying, I am not here to make friends. I'm not going to make friends. I'm going to win $100,000 and I'll step on anyone I have to in order to do it. And ended up coming in and then meeting me, and then she ended up playing this, beautiful game where she cries at the end and gives me hugs and everything. And we're both crying as she leaves. But for me, I don't know if you remember this, Curtis, but in my interview with the executive producers, they said, well, what do you want out of this, or something like that. And I said, I would love to have $100,000, but at the end of the day, only one person is going to get that. And 12 people, or maybe 11, I didn't know how many people, 11 or 12 people are going to play. And only those 11 or 12 people are going to know what this experience is like firsthand. I can go home and I'll tell my husband about it. I'll tell all my friends about it. but they will only hear stories. It'll be third party, everything. So if I come out of this with no friends, with no one that I can talk to about this, reminisce, get nostalgic with, I will be very sad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I came into it wanting to make an alliance that was cutthroat in itself, but that was also very trusting. And so, yeah, that's why I was like, once I made the alliance and once I made the group, I kind of just relaxed, maybe almost a little bit too much, and I wasn't expecting or didn't expect necessarily the level to which Jonathan was playing both sides, because I wasn't playing both sides.
May I ask a question that this just, I've never asked anybody this before, but since you're talking about it, was there any time, because the alliance started as an inter-team women alliance,
Right.
and the idea was that that you were working together to keep a woman on the throne. That's what you guys were talking about. But then fairly quickly it changed and you brought two men into the alliance.
Right.
Was there ever a time when you went, maybe we shouldn't have brought the men into the alliance?
Yes and no, because the problem was that Heather and I, within the 6-person alliance, there were 3 duos. There were Heather and myself, Jonathan and Raychelle, and Lily and Ben. So I feel as though for forces that were beyond my control, that were kind of Lily and Rachelle's choices, they would have been there whether or not I had agreed to it. They would have been in on it. They would have hopefully... the way I looked at it was that I couldn't really fight Lily talking to Ben, and I couldn't fight Raychelle bonding with Jonathan, and so I just tried to look at them as allies and instead be in on the information instead of have it be secretive.
Right.
And so that was kind of the way I looked at it. I was talking with Heather about how she and I stayed so true to the original Women 4, but I don't know, you can't necessarily say the same thing about maybe Lily and Raychelle, because they, you know, their team decided to throw in Heather, and that really surprised me, and maybe did disappoint me a little bit, because I think if anything it should have been Jonathan. That maybe Lily and Raychelle should have had our backs on that side. But what can you do? Heather and I were all for it, so we went out feminist guns blazing.
Did you know during the show, during the filming, that Jonathan had multiple alliances going on, or just that he had talked to Caitlin a little bit?
Just that he had talked to Caitlin, and I knew that it was extensive because, like I said, he wasn't willing to vote for her round 3. He made the rest, as I put it, he made the rest of my team do the dirty work so that he could go up to Caitlin and say, well, I'm not voting for you, but the rest of my team is voting for you, and kind of make us out to be the bad guys to Caitlin. And I should have seen that. I thought he was just trying to be the nice guy, and that annoyed me, but I should have seen it for what it was, which was a double team, or I don't know, a double agent, I should say.
Yeah.
A double agent is actually what it was. I didn't look at it that deeply. I just thought he was trying to get away with being the nice guy.
I mean, I definitely saw that as well when we watch it. The first time he doesn't, or the second time that Caitlin's getting voted in, he's like, I don't think it's fair. And I was like, what do you mean it's not fair? This is a game, sir.
Right.
But I realized,
I know.
He's fully aware. So your family has now seen this whole situation. How are they taking it? How does because I feel like you're one of the very few people that we have that has a family. How are they responding to this show?
I mean, my kids love it. They think it's so fun, and they, you know, were so sad and were like booing when Heather was eliminated, because Heather really bonded with my kids, and my husband is so proud of me. Like it was, I don't know. It's been great. It's been a bonding experience for the whole family, which is wonderful, because I had to leave for a month in order to do it. So that it ended up bringing us all closer together is, I mean, what else could you hope for out of it?
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it's been so great. And hearing their commentary on it from a 5 and 3-year-old is really funny as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything that nerd wise that they're like, oh, I could have told you that? Is that a thing that they're doing?
That's a great question. My kids will watch occasional episodes of Dragon Ball Z, but they're not necessarily super into Pokemon, or else I'm sure that they would have been all on me for missing a Pokemon. My son actually caught the Halloween line that Colby missed because I'm a bad mom and I let my kids watch scary movies because they don't get scared. Especially, okay, best tip to parents out there: set your DVRs to record the movie channels almost constantly during October because they show horror movies, but all the bad stuff is taken out. So if your kids like horror movies, but you don't want them to see, all of the nudity and violence and gore, just record those and then keep them on your DVR all year long. That's what we do. Anyways.
Smart.
Yeah. So, my son caught that one and he said, "That's about Michael Myers, isn't it?" I was like, "Yes."
Oh,
you are
man.
My son.
That's wonderful.
I know, right?
See, that's another reason why I instinctively I had a connection with you, I think, because that's the way I raised my daughter.
Yeah.
Is every Sunday we would have a classic movie Sunday, and we would go downstairs and watch endless horror films. I mean, they tended to be more classic horror than the 80s movies ones, but still, it was a huge education for her, which I loved, and because it's my thing too.
Yeah.
But
my son loves Night of the Living Dead, the original one that's in black and white, and if we're ever playing together and we're playing hide and seek, we always quote it and we go, "They're coming to get you, Barbara," and we say it in that voice, and I just crack up. It's so fun.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, Curtis?
Just that that this is a wonderful person and a great competitor, and we love you. That's about all I can say.
Don't make me cry at work.
Why don't you tell people where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff?
Yes, I am on Twitter and Instagram at Amanda AmanDuhDuh, and you can find me on Tumblr as well by adding an extra H onto the end of it because my other username was already taken. So
how rude.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, and we are excited to see you next week on the show.
Yes, the whole gang's back together. Everybody tune in.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I feel like we covered a lot today.
We did. We covered a lot.
I'm checking that there are no final thoughts that I have. I just want to say that 3 out of 3 doctors agree studying is important.
Yes.
That's our PSA of the day. 3 out of 3 doctors agree. That was so good.
I know, it was fabulous.
We don't have Colby to give us our one-liners anymore.
No, I know, and but fortunately, as you say, he will be back. And I think as far as the one-liners go, one of the nice things is that Lily sort of stepped into that.
Yeah.
And Lily, I loved watching Lily last week because she was sick, and it just made me laugh because she was. I felt bad at the time,
right?
But now that I look at it all cut together, she always was another good one for those kind of succinct one-liners.
Yeah. I'm so excited for next week. We have everyone back. I feel like it's time to head into predictions.
Let's hear them.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Our final 4.
Final 4.
Lily, Ben, Caitlin, and Jonathan.
Correct.
50-50 chance that the crown continues to be on a woman's head.
That's correct.
I don't even know how to do it anymore. I have been so wrong all season. But I believe that Caitlin or Lily will wear the crown.
Well, you said last week
that
you had an instinct that it was going to stay in the distaff.
Yes.
So so obviously nothing has happened since then to change your mind.
No. Well, yes. I mean, stuff has happened. We lost 2 women. I think originally said the final 4 would be all women.
That's right, you did.
Because I make all sorts of crazy statements.
Yeah, and that one was wrong.
Yes, I'm aware.
Of course, we've never had 4 women
yet
in the final 4.
Right.
So.
I think I want to say that I thought that Ben and Jonathan would make it this far. Jonathan, I feel like each episode he's coming out more and more villainous.
Really?
Yeah.
You find that?
I mean, not necessarily villainous in a malicious way, but villainous in a, as Heather said, weaselly way.
Oh, okay.
And that sucks because I definitely have said multiple times that I would have also been the person who makes the alliances and then backstabs everybody. So I see a lot of myself in him.
I see. Okay.
That said, I think Caitlin, I think I'm going to say it because we only have one episode left. I think Caitlin will be King of the Nerds.
Alrighty.
That is my prediction.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, that was stressful to say.
But you have to come out with it and take a stand.
Go big or go home.
Exactly.
Curtis, thank you so much for joining me, as always.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to next week.
Why don't you tell the people where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram and anywhere else?
You can. I'm not on Instagram, but you can find me on Twitter, and the handle is Curtis is Booger.
Awesome. And of course, if you want to find me, I'm online at yael.tv. That's yael.tv. Also Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, Polyvore. I'm sure there are others. At Yael Tygiel. That's YaelTygiel. And we will see you here next week for the season finale of King of the Nerds. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.